pig feed is grown on over 10 million acres a year in the United States. And that is associated with a lot of, in general, environmental degradation and greenhouse gas emissions associated with conventional agriculture. So what if we could feed pigs on waste? Well, it's not that novel of an idea. That's kind of how pigs have been raised for thousands of years. But if we're thinking about it in the modern context, what are some of the waste streams that we have on our farms or in communities that could help us raise pigs while not adding additional environmental impact? So we've been experimenting with spent brewer's grain and fermenting it. All the greenhouse gas emissions are already accounted for in that barley's whole journey to becoming beer. And if we can take what's left over from that process, ferment it and make it digestible, work with pig breeds that can digest a higher fiber diet, then we're able to get animal protein for people, raise happy, healthy animals without additional negative environmental impact from the sourcing of the feed.
Hey, I'm Jeff, one of the livestock farmers working with the hogs, and these are 5 of our 20 Mayshan hogs that we got from Oddbird Farm from Jonathan Kemmemer in DeKalb, Missouri. And these hogs are special because of their breed and the genetics that they've been selected to have over time. So the breed itself is from China and came in the 1980s, and a lot of people have done work since then to preserve the breed and select for qualities that they have originally been adapted to have. One being to put on weight on a high fiber diet because of their intestinal tract being much longer than any other pig breed. They're actually one of the only pig breeds to be hindgut fermenters, similar to horses, which is well suited for our fermented brewer's grain diet, which is our cornerstone of our feed.
And we do something a little bit different where we ferment our spent brewer's grain to have it a whole more nutrient-dense material for them to digest, but also to have a longer shelf life, especially where if you think of fermented foods like sauerkraut or kimchi, it has a whole lot more nutrients when it's kind of aged out a bit. And one of the beautiful things with our feed here, a lot of traditional farmers that will use this for feed need to use the grain immediately, under 12 hours. For us, we like to have our spent brewer's grain fermented for a minimum of 1 week, and we ferment it in a lactobacillus culture. And it actually has this beautiful apple cider, kind of like a hard cider smell to it. And the pigs absolutely love it. They devour it up.
In order to be able to share this with you, I've used that to make these cookies. So these cookies are brewer's spent grain cookies, or what somebody just a minute ago called pig feed cookies, which I actually like that much better. And there's 2 versions here. So this one on the right is fresh from the brewery. So the brewery gives us the spent grain. We add the lactobacillus, starts to get sour and work the way a yogurt would. And then we also add the enzyme, viscozyme. So that begins to soften that grain. This one is much longer fermentation, a much longer process. So it's sat in the tote for 2 weeks. Now, what happens is it gets more and more sour. So it's not that appetizing, I'm told, although I think it's delicious. I just had a spoonful, and it tastes like apple cider. So a very sour apple cider. So what we did was we took that, we pasteurized it, so there's probably no bacteria in any way because it's very sour, meaning that pathogens cannot grow in there. I dried it out, put it in the flour mill, and made these cookies, which if you'll taste them, especially the ones with this dark maybe I'll turn it around, with this dark sort of grain on the top, that's the 2-week-old lactobacillus grain. And it gives a nice sour flavor and a very grainy, a very sort of barley wheat flavor.
Oh my God, you're so good.
So
This is so good.
the nutrition is off the charts. It's high in protein, all the minerals, zinc, everything, potassium, everything you could want. And so that's why it's beneficial for our pigs.